If you want to win some free PSN or Xbox gift cards, all you gotta do is be subscribed to my channel, drop a like on this video, leave a comment down below, and don't forget to turn on notifications.
Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin and welcome back to another Call of Duty World War II video. In today's video, we're going to be giving some tips on how to get better at World War II. Specifically, this video is going to teach you how to aim better, how to improve your accuracy, all that sort of stuff in World War II, because having good accuracy is very, very important in this game, and that's what we're going to be discussing. Hopefully you guys will enjoy today's video. If you guys do, I'd really appreciate dropping a like on this thing. Let's go for 2,000 likes. That would be the goal, of course. If you guys are new to my channel and you're not already subscribed, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm covering every class of World War II, every tip video, everything you guys need to know about this game and to become very, very good players on it. So I'd appreciate if you guys could all smack that like button, and let's get right into this. So today I have about maybe 6 or 7 tips that work specifically for Call of Duty and for World War II, and that will help you improve your aim, because while aiming in this game is a lot more simple because it is a boots on the ground Call of Duty game than it is in the advanced movement games. It's a lot easier to predict where enemies are going to be and stuff like that in this game, and the movement system makes it a lot more simple. Aiming is something that, especially in these close quarters gunfights are so important in this game, and they are kind of tough to win because the hit detection can be wonky sort of sometimes. Having perfect aim is very, very key, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's start off with the first tip. So some of these tips will be simple, some a little more complicated, but I hope you guys will stick around, and definitely this whole video will help you guys out. So first tip I'm going to have is keep your crosshair where the enemy is going to be. Most of the time that's going to be in the middle of the screen. Now this is more of a beginner tip, but I see some people walking around with their crosshair not exactly centered on the screen, which can be a big mistake. Another tip that I mean is obviously you want to keep it in the center most of the time, but in this game there's no advanced movement, so it's very predictable when enemies are going to be on a head glitch or when they're going to come around a corner at a certain height. You want to have your aim ready for where they're going to be. So for example, if you know there's a box where everyone likes to head glitch, especially on a map like this, London Docks, and you know enemies are going to be coming for that, you don't want to be aiming down sights on the box. You want to be aiming right above the box where the enemy's head is going to poke out, because basically you want to be pre-aiming where enemies are going to be, and you want to have the least amount of distance from where your gun is set up when you don't see an enemy to when you see an enemy and you can lock on that target. Very, very simple stuff. For the most of the time in Call of Duty, especially in World War II, you want to aim for the chest. That's just the best way. Simply aiming for the chest is the biggest target. The headshot multiplier is fairly decent, but it's not something where you want to specifically aim for the head. You want to aim for right dead center in the chest. That is the biggest mass and the biggest place and the easiest place to hit, and that's where you're going to want to aim most of the time. Of course, if enemies are on a head glitch and if only their head is poking out, then you want to pre-aim at the top of that, and of course you'd have to go for the head. Now, another tip I'll give you guys is for guns other than SMGs. So for LMGs as well as assault rifles. This is mainly for LMGs and for assault rifles. I recommend rocking with a stock. And what the stock does in previous Call of Duty games is allows you when you're aimed down sights to move side to side with that left thumbstick a lot faster than you could without. Now stock in this game, since it's not an attachment, it comes built in with the infantry setup. It's like number 4 on the infantry, I think it is, which allows you to aim down, to move faster when you aim down sights. Or if you don't want to rock with the infantry division, there is a basic training that you unlock once you prestige the infantry division once, which is called scoped, I believe, and it basically gives you the same thing. I recommend running this on pretty much all of your assault rifles or with your LMG class setup. So I mean most of the time, not all the time, because this allows you to get your aim better. You're going to be locking onto targets and you're going to be able to strafe left and right. You're going to be able to use that right thumbstick to lock your aim on vertically and stuff like that, and then your left one to sort of strafe while shooting the enemy, and it's going to cause you to be able to hit your bullets better and the enemies to miss their bullets, because just strafing one step to the left can be the difference in such a twitch shooter, I guess you could say, where enemies, one bullet can make the difference, 1 to 2 bullets with fast firing guns. Just doing that, having that stock running infantry or scope, will allow you to win gunfights with the assault rifles and with the LMGs. With the SMGs, it can also help. However, with the SMGs, it's kind of already built in. That's sort of one of the things with the SMGs that makes them good, even though they're sort of underpowered in this game at this point right now, is that they're a lot more mobile, and you're able to strafe life a little bit quicker with them. Next tip we're going to talk about is sensitivity. Everyone loves to talk about sensitivity. What's the perfect sensitivity? Now, me, I think I usually play on a 5 or a 6, and as far as its sensitivity in this game, you want to sort of, with the sensitivity, what I say is you want to make it high enough where you're comfortable, but low enough where you're not losing gunfights or missing shots because of it. So as soon as you realize, test out your sensitivity, find one that you're comfortable with, but as soon as you realize that you're missing shots and you're like, wow, if I had a lower sensitivity, I could have won that gunfight, you want to drop it down immediately. And that's why most pro COD players play around a 3 to a 5 or a 6 sensitivity, because you want to have really good aim. Usually people with higher sensitivities are for either snipers or they can lock onto people faster, but you can't keep that steady aim, no pun intended, and that's why it's not as good. And that's why finding your comfortable sensitivity, it will be different for anyone. The more that you're playing, and like I remember when I was playing in MW3, I had a 7 sensitivity, and that was out of 10. There wasn't these 14 and 20 sensitivities that they have nowadays. So that's because I was playing the game so much that I felt comfortable on a 7. Nowadays I feel comfortable on a 5 or a 6. It depends. Some people might be comfortable on a 10, but for the most part, I would recommend keeping it on those middle levels. A 4 to a 7 or an 8 are usually your standard levels that will work good with your sensitivity, and that's what I would 100% recommend. As far as another tip for aiming, you have aim assist enabled. There's 2 different types of aim assist in this game, Call of Duty World War II, and you always want to have aim assist enabled, because while it may mess you up on certain gunfights, if you see 2 enemies, it might pull you away from one to the other one. Having that aim assist, even though it's not very strong in this game, I think it could use sort of a buff, because especially at close range gunfights, I feel like the aim assist is sort of wonky. You want to always have that on, because that's basically what it does, is it draws you to the enemy, sort of like how in zombies you get drawn to the zombies. It's not nearly as strong as multiplayer, but it definitely does help you, and that is available on the console versions of World War II. Just make sure that's always enabled in your settings. You don't want to really mess with that. That's definitely something I would say right there. Now, as far as other things that can help improve your aim, there are 2 products that I use. Now, these ones are real life products, and it's kind of funny how a real life thing can improve your aim, but it's to do with your controller. Now, the first one would be, of course, a SCUF controller. Now, the reason why I use a SCUF controller, and I'm also sponsored by SCUF, you can use code GOBLIN for all these products I'm talking about, but a SCUF controller is pretty expensive, honestly, like over $100, but what they can do is it allows you to have buttons on the back of your controller that are knife as well as jump, so you can jump and keep your sticks on the aiming and be able to take people out, which I find is a very, very key thing in a Call of Duty game like World War II. I feel like drop shotting is huge, but I still feel like jump shotting is important. Not as important as it was in the futuristic Call of Duty games, but it feels like in Black Ops 2, where jump shotting can be still very strong, especially jumping into a drop shot is one of the fancy maneuvers. I'll talk about that more in other videos, but I feel like a SCUF controller is very, very helpful. The link for that will be in the description if you guys want to get a SCUF controller. Like I said, they are fairly expensive, so it's not 100% required. You can still do well without it, but it's definitely something that can help you aim while maneuvering. And the other one, of course, is a little bit of a cheaper option, which I recommend everyone picks up, of course, because it's only like 10 or 20 bucks, and that's Control Freak, and the link for that will be in the description down below as well. Now, what Control Freak is it's something that you can put on your thumbsticks. It basically extends your thumbsticks and makes a larger range of motion, so you can be more accurate with a lower sensitivity. It's a super key thing in Call of Duty. I've been using one since like MW3, and it's they're like what, like 15 or 20 bucks. You can use code GOBLIN for a 10% discount, and it allows you to, most people when they get them, once they start using them, they're like, I really can't play without Control Freak, because they get used to them. Those are 2 products that can help you out with aiming if you guys are willing to spend some real life money. Another thing I want to talk about is the reticles. Now in this game there is quite a bit of muzzle flash, so it's kind of hard to, you really have to stay focused on the enemy, because some of the iron sights aren't the best, as well as the muzzle flash can be pretty intimidating. So I recommend on guns where you don't like the sights, what you can do, and having a bad sight really can affect your aim because you're not comfortable with it, and comfortability is always a main key, is when you unlock epic or heroic variants, it usually changes the sights. So sometimes, if you have a different variant, for example, my MP40 variant that I have, not in this gameplay, but one that I unlocked, it has sort of like a PPSH sight on it. So, if some people may prefer that over the original MP40 sight, some people may not. And as well as, of course, you can always run with a sight. Now, there's the reticle lens, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I find that it increases the muzzle flash, makes it kind of hard to use. It is pretty decent on SMGs, but assault rifles, I don't really like the muzzle flash on the reticle lens. As far as the the red dot sight or the reflex sight. It's very, very key, especially within this game. You can use that, and then you have to get like certain amount of kills with that to unlock different dots and different reticles. And I find that most people like the spec dot or the red dot, which is actually, you know, just a straight up dot, because the default one that comes with the reflex sight can be kind of weak. So those are some other tips that, you know, being comfortable can improve your aim. Hopefully this video did help you guys out. A lot of different tips here on how to make your aim better and improve accuracy in not Black Ops 3, what am I saying? World War II, baby. We're on World War II. Thanks for watching, guys. If you guys could drop a like on this video, if you guys made it to the end, 2,000 likes would be amazing. Of course, subscribe if you guys are new, sub for a cookie, and don't looky. Have a great night, guys. I'm out. Peace.